Hey Jonathan, we're going to go and break down your backside 720. Backside 7s are a super complex trick, so this is going to be pretty nitty gritty with the details. So let's jump right into it. We're first going to identify what your problem is with the back 7, and after that we're going to go and figure out what's causing it. Because back 7s, there's a lot going on, takeoff in the air, so we got to go and take it all in to figure out what to do and why we're doing it. So your back 7, obviously you're an experienced rider, you're getting to your feet even though you're on what seems like a bit of a blind axis rotation. And this axis of rotation is actually what's causing your back 7s to not be one fluent motion. What I mean by this is when you go to do your back 7, you're having a moment of blindness. See here, with this axis of rotation, your eyes aren't able to go and track the knuckle because you're too tilted backwards. This makes it so in order to see the landing, you're looking up and over around your shoulder. This is what causes your back 7 to be disconnected and really hard to control. Because instead of being able to spot constantly and rotate through, you need to whip your head around and then have your body catch up. What's making you come and finish, and that's why you're coming in heels primarily. Because it's okay to cork your back 7s, a little bit of cork can be super steezy, but when you go and cork on this amount, it's going to make it really hard to spot the knuckle and track through. So that's why these back 7s aren't how you want them and why they're going to be hard to transition to 9s and 10s, because you're not able to do it in one fluent constant rotation or utilize the constant spot. We can really see it here where you need to let go of a grab and unwind yourself because you're getting twisted up. And that's all just stemming from that little bit of cork on the takeoff. Super subtle, but that's going to be the main cause of all of your problems on the backside 7. So if you can fix that, you'll be able to do a super sick back 7 that will then be easier to transition to 9s and be a tool that you can use to do 1080s. So now let's go and break down why this is happening. There's a few things here, but they're all stemming from your takeoff. The first thing I really want to note is how early you're getting on your toe edge. It's really good that you can control that toe edge for that long, but you're really making this a lot harder on yourself by needing to hold it for that period of time. You can see you're getting on your toe edge a good 5 feet before the spoon of the jump. Where normally when I'm getting on my toe edge, I want to be getting on to it around here. So I'd be doing a heel edge all the way to this point, then switching to my toes, drastically lowering the amount of time you need to go and hold your toe edge. Because if you get on your toes too early, you're going to slowly continue to break at the waist and start leaning forward. This happens for everyone with their toe edge. Doesn't matter how good you are. The longer you're on your toe edge, the harder it's going to be to stay strong, wound up with your good core. So it's going to make you start leaning forward, leaning forward, leaning forward. And once you're leaning forward, there's nothing you can do because your weight's going that way and you need to carry your weight. So something that you can do right now that will instantly make your backside 7s better is narrowing the setup carve. Start getting on your toe edge instead of over there. Here, let's go find the exact point. Around here should be the point you're transitioning, right through the spoon of a jump. So you're going through the spoon of a jump and that's when you transition. That will go and let you go and spend less time on your toes, letting you keep more tall and strong the waist. Because now we're going to break into your wind up and snap. And a bit of an issue here is you're not really winding up. You can see you're staying in your stack position, but you're not able to go and open the hips and wind up, so you're not getting that explosive power. This is probably a response to being on your toe edge so early, because when you're on your toe edge this early, you obviously can't hold a wound up position. So I think this is the reason why you're not fully utilizing that wind up. What's fine for 360s to 540s, but as soon as you get to 720s, you really need that wind up for extra power. So this makes it so you need to cheat the rotation a bit. By cheat the rotation, I mean you're pre-spinning and dipping your shoulder in, trying to go and get more power out of your narrow range of motion. Because you only have from stack position to closed. This is more similar to what you see in a backcountry takeoff where you're not able to fully set in an edge and rotate. The difference is those backcountry jumps are usually massive, so it doesn't really matter that you can't get that snap. The next thing I want to point out here is your takeoff position. Notice how when you're taking off, you're already leaned forward with your arms in, head looking down. You're not leading the rotation of your eyes, and this is where this cork is coming from. Right here. This is what's setting you up for that whole corking rotation. So when you come around, you're completely blind coming into the knuckle, making it super hard to see and rotate. This would work good for a 540. Still, ideally, you're spotting the knuckle, but you can see your axis rotation is much more natural to a 5. This happens a lot with people that snowboard a lot and get really comfortable with 540s, is you can't really use the same technique for the 7. Before we go deeper into this, we're just going to go and break down one of my back 7s so we can go and show you some of the difference before we start talking about it a bit more. Sorry for info dumping you so hard, but back 7s are one of my favorite tricks, so it's really nice to have a chance to talk to them. So this is one of my back 7s from the other day. You can see it's a much smaller jump. So that means I'm going to exaggerate the motions and exaggerate the wind up and snap a bit more than you would on a jump that size, but still all the same principles apply. I use the same form every time I spin back 7s. So you can see I'm on my heel edge transitioning around the spoon of the jump. Then I'm getting lightly on my toe edge, and as I'm doing that, I'm winding up. This is super crucial. Notice how my upper body is completely open. So my back arm is pointing forward towards the jump with my chest open, and I'm actually, you can't see it because I'm wearing such a baggy fit, but my hips are opening as well. I'll demonstrate some body form after the stream, but basically I'm keeping my back leg straight when opening my hips to the jump. This allows you to go and twist with everything you have, using your glutes, using your back, your core, your arms, everything engaged to generate that pop, and increases your range of motion substantially. So you can see I'm snapping my spin for a large duration to a point, this is where you're at for your spin, so you're missing around half of the snap. And then I'm really following through with that straight body off the takeoff. The straight body is really important because it's going to let you go and keep that flat axis rotation. We're going to watch this a couple times full speed and then break down what's happening in the air. All right, let's watch it one time with the ultra slow-mo. So the wind up, snap, straight, tall, extended, and watch my head, spotting the knuckle, grabbing and holding the spot the whole time. This is a pretty small jump, so it's not as textbook as it could be, but it's pretty good, and it's what you want to go and try implement into some of your own back 7s. So the first thing here, we're just going to try implement this wind up. Getting a good wind up engaged will let you go and have more range of motion to generate more power. This is going to be a lot easier with a later setup carve, getting on your toe edge after the spoon. This patience is pretty tricky and it took me a while to get, but it makes it backside spin so much easier. And then you need to make sure that you're leaving tall and extended. A rule for corking backside spins is if you go and match the angle of the takeoff, you'll have a slight cork and a slight dip. You can see my board isn't perfectly flat. A perfectly flat spin generally means you did something wrong because your board would have had to level up off the takeoff, meaning that you'd generally miss the snap. But by leaving off the tail and matching the angle of the takeoff, that's how you go and get that slight cork, but not so much that you can't spot. So pay attention to this, my eyes here. When I'm at 270, my eyes are down looking at the knuckle. This is what lets me go and get a controlled grab and pull into a spin. So my eyes are still pointed downwards. So we're still locked on the same point. It's a little hard to tell with goggles, but my eyes have been on the same point ever since I spotted the landing around 270. Then to speed up the spin, I'm able to go and pull into that and keep it going. This is because I'm not corked, so that means I don't need to use any muscles to go and change my axis rotation. Instead, I can go and tighten up and continue that axis rotation. You also sent me a more swirly back 7, so we'll just use this because it goes in and shows your mistakes in a bit more of a drastic of a way. So this one you can really see. You're going and getting on your heel edge super early. Oh, I rewound too much. Oh, just a little bonus here for the front free. Also, sorry, my lips are very chapped. For your front free here, obviously it's a good front free, super smooth, super buttery, but there's a way you can make this smoother and easier without too much issue. The thing I'm noticing here is your upper body. Notice how you're completely wound up and snapped before leaving the jump. This means you're not getting any rotation off your body form. This is why you have to go and use counter rotation at the end here, because you're not getting any snap out of that transition. Where if you went and were in this position, this position, but here, that'd make it so that your rotation was carrying with you, allowing you to go and grab and not need to use that little bit of counter rotation at the end. So that one is a super subtle, shouldn't be too hard of a fix. Just go and delay your snap, because right now, you could honestly be riding the jump like this the whole time right now, because you're not getting any extra rotational force because you're stuck holding that position. That's something that's going to be really important for the back 7 as well, is you need to make sure that you're continuing the momentum for when you snap off. So all this form, everything's perfect here. We like to see it. You just are going and snapping too soon and then delaying it. Obviously, you have a lot of control, so you make it work and make it look good, but that's just why you're using counter rotation there. So something to think about. So for the back 7 here, notice how aggressive of a heel side carve you do there. And when you're getting on your toes super early, you're getting on your toes around when I initiate my heel edge carve. This is making it so it's really hard to hold the toe edge, and you can see it. Your back knee's caving in towards your front knee. You're starting to lean forward, and your snap is angled down. You're dropping your shoulder into the takeoff, as well as doing a bit of pre-spinning. This is all because you're on that toe edge too soon, and it makes it so you break at the waist. When you drop the shoulder like this, it's going to throw you into that off cork. You can really see it here. There's zero possibility that your eyes could lock on the landing and you could carry through that rotation. Instead, you're stuck with the only option of looking up and around your shoulder, what's going to disconnect your spin every time and make it really hard to progress to bigger spins in the future. So we can see it here. You need to let go and whip it around. You're really good at doing this. What's awesome, because sometimes you will be in that situation, especially when you're learning, but we want to try to make it so our takeoffs are putting us in that situation as little as possible. So to fix this, tighten the body, extend everything. We'll demonstrate it with mine one more, and then I'll demonstrate with my body a bit. So much more narrow setup carve, a wind up. This wind up helps because it makes it so you have more range of motion, snapping, full range of motion, fully extended. You can see I'm not dipping my shoulder downward. Instead, I'm just matching the angle of the takeoff. But as soon as you start to dip, you start to flip. And if you flip, you won't be able to see. But as someone as experienced as you, once you see this point, you'll be able to see the knuckle, and from there, you can use your constant spot that I'm sure you're familiar with your other spins. I'm just going to make myself big here and do a little body demonstration. Sorry for going on, it's just back 7s are really complex, so you gotta make sure to cover it all. We'll demonstrate it this way for you. So right now what's happening is you're getting on your toe edge really early. Ooh, I should demonstrate it this way. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. It's just, I'm better at it this way. So you're coming in, getting on your toes, and then you're on your toes, you're trying to keep from breaking at the waist. But because you're on your toes so wrong, you're going and forcing it, not fully wound up, and then when you're snapping like this, downwards. When you snap downwards, your rotation's here. From here, not much luck looking at the knuckle, so you gotta go, whip it around like this. What's exactly what you're doing. But if you go and keep your spot under your arm, and with a flat rotation, so nice matching the angle of the takeoff, not tipping in, not curving in. It's like I have a bar for my shoulder, so you pop up strong. That will let you spot under your arm, match that axis of rotation, see the landing at 270, and then carry it through the whole way, letting you go and keep a constant axis rotation. Because that's what you really want in a back 7, is that smooth, constant rotation that doesn't make you need to disconnect, because that's what's going to translate to bigger tricks. If you do want to add a cork, how you add a cork to your backside spin is just by increasing the angle that you're throwing on. So if this is matching the angle of the takeoff, this would be corked. Where right now, you're going and just dropping the shoulder, dipping it, causing you to go whoop, around, making it really hard to throw through. So I hope you go and make those changes. It's going to be a little bit tricky. It seems like you like getting on that toe edge early, but just keep working on it. Keep it in mind, because once you can go and narrow down that setup carve, it's going to make it so it's way easier to go and hold that edge. One training you can also do is work on opening your hips. Just practice at home, knees out, strong position, and boom, opening the hips, keeping the glutes tight, core straight, and popping. That's what you want because it's going to give you so much more range of motion and so much more power, making it so you don't need to worry about dipping that shoulder because you know the power is going to come from your nice snap. But obviously, looking good, keep at it, and let me know if you need any more help. Ooh, I'm going to try to figure out how to stop this recording. Bear with me. Awesome. Ooh, 15 minutes. Sorry for going off on such a tangent. I'm just a massive nerd when it comes to back sevens. Well, let me know if that helps, and let me know if you need any more feedback.